And that brings us to our sixth way to cheat at WORDLE, which is maybe the most ethical way of doing it. What's up, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about WORDLE. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the anxiety that it brings up for a lot of people in the Facebook group. Sometimes we forget that games are supposed to be fun.
Why is it whenever I'm having fun, it's wrong?
In this video, I wanted to give you 6 strategies for cheating at WORDLE. But before we get into that, let's talk about what WORDLE is. WORDLE is a 5-letter word game that was developed by a former Reddit software engineer named Josh Wordle back in October of 2021 for him and his girlfriend to play. Recently, it was sold to the New York Times for an undisclosed sum in excess of 7 figures. But what I find shocking about that was that WORDLE was developed in JavaScript, which is a client-based application, which means that the entire code base for WORDLE is freely available to anyone with a browser. We're going to take advantage of that as I show you some techniques to beat the game. WORDLE gives you feedback about your guesses by coloring the letters that you've entered. So if WORDLE colors a letter gray, you know that letter is not used anywhere in the correct word. If WORDLE colors a letter yellow, then you know that letter is used in the word, but it's in the wrong location. And if WORDLE colors a letter green, then you know that is a correct letter and it's also in the correct location. What's interesting about that feedback is that you can often learn more about the correct word by the letters that are colored in gray. If you know that a word does not contain that letter at all, then that narrows down the list of potential words significantly. Now, in the English language, there are 12,946 words that contain 5 letters, but only 2,315 of them are used as the word of the day for WORDLE. And again, we're going to use that knowledge to our advantage when we're trying to solve the puzzle. So here are the 6 ways you can use to cheat at WORDLE. The most basic way is to just Google what is the word of the day for WORDLE. Usually someone will have solved the puzzle already and you can get information very quickly that way. But that's very basic.
You're basic.
The next idea, number 2, is to make 6 guesses in WORDLE, and it'll give you the answer, and then you can just clear your browser cache and then do it again. The problem with clearing your browser cache is that it clears your statistics as well. So if you're planning on sharing your statistics, you won't be able to clear your browser cache.
3 Gläser.
But that brings us to our third way to cheat at WORDLE. Use 2 separate browsers. One browser would be used to make 6 guesses, and if you're wrong through the 6 guesses, it will give you the answer. You can then use that information to enter guesses in the second browser, and that will be the one that you use to keep track of your statistics.
It's easy. Look at my fingers. 4 stones, 4 crates.
The fourth option for cheating at WORDLE is just to simply copy the score of someone else and paste it into your own post on social media. It's stupid, but it works. In fact, you can actually copy and paste individual colored blocks to make it look however you want. Just make sure that you're not guessing every puzzle on the first try.
Now number 5.
The fifth way to cheat at WORDLE is simply to look at the code that generates WORDLE. So if you visit the WORDLE website, most browsers will give you the opportunity to right-click in the browser window and select View Page Source. That will open the page source in a new window, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that there's a reference to main.js. When you right-click on the main.js source file, you can open that in a new tab. When you look at that, you're looking at the code behind WORDLE that generates the page. When you scroll down on that page a little bit, you'll begin to see a big long list of words. So what you can do is actually look for yesterday's word. Let's say the word was foray. If you do a search in your browser by hitting Control F on your keyboard and type the word foray, when that pops up in the window, you can see that the word just to the right of it is the word of the day for today. I know, it's silly. Like, it's all available in the browser, so there's no reason to be anxious about this.
6 is your number.
And that brings us to our 6th way to cheat at WORDLE, which is maybe the most ethical way of doing it. I created a JavaScript that kind of works in reverse of Wordle. It uses that feedback that you've gotten from Wordle to narrow down the list of dictionary words that contain 5 letters. And using that technique, you can narrow down the list significantly. What I like about that technique is that it looks organic. You can enter a guess in Wordle and then use the feedback that is given to you in Wordle in this new program, and it'll narrow down the list for you. And I think this is a great way to improve your strategy to Wordle because you can see how quickly your guesses narrow down the list of potential words in the English dictionary with only 5 letters. On top of that, you can learn new words because once you get below 10 words, it will give you a link to the definition of that word. If you'd like to try the application yourself, please visit cheatle.us. I'll leave a link in the description below. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button. In the next video, we're going to be talking about why this channel is called the CoinBot, but that has to do with an application that I'm developing which involves machine learning and computer vision. I hope if you enjoyed this kind of content that you'll stick with me and that you'll be around for the next video. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.